Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the sports section with me, Neil Rosen. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, welcome back. Now, we have to talk about Everton because it does seem that after a long time, they are going to get relegated. Now, I'm not saying that I want to see this happen, no, but currently, if you see how things have been run for Everton in the last couple of years, well, this scenario was inevitable, especially after these last 2 years. So, to my surprise, Lampard actually survived way longer than expected. He obviously got sacked this week, but to me, it would have been the logical move to replace him before the World Cup. Why is that, you might ask? Well, first of all, if you replace him before the World Cup, that way the new manager has a long time to have a, let's say, semi-preseason, even though there's no transfer window there. But he has that, let's say, semi-preseason during the World Cup break. Then you come back, you have obviously the winter period, lots of games. But at least during the January transfer window, that new manager could have chosen some new players, could have built up the team to maybe survive another season in the Premier League. Because remember, last season was already a pretty close one. They barely made it out. So the fact that they gave Lampard another season, and let's not kid ourselves, the start of the season for Everton wasn't the best either. So I really don't know what the club were thinking when going into that World Cup break and saying, yeah, let's continue with Lampard. And then let's see what happens in January. Maybe we'll buy some players, probably not because we don't have the money to do that. So let's look at loan options. But then again, at the time of recording this video, obviously, you probably heard the news. Tottenham hijacked the deal for Janjuma or whatever he's called. So there is that. Now, whenever you sack a coach during the transfer period, you know very well that the coach that is coming in will probably not get the players that he wants. We're going to talk about the options of those new managers coming in at the end of this video. But right now, the big question here that everybody's asking is why sack Lampard now, in the middle of the transfer window, when you could have done that before the World Cup, bring in a new manager, give him time to, well, train the players to the way he wants to play, and then maybe talk with the club to see which players we should bring in the transfer window in January. Right now, it just doesn't make any sense. They're looking for a quick fix again. To be honest, I don't see how this situation will get fixed besides getting relegated, getting that golden parachute, buying some players. Obviously, they will lose some players as well, and then build their way up in the championship. Now, for those that need a quick reminder of what happened with the club since 2016 until today. So back in 2016, Farhad Moshiri bought around 49.9% of the club. Currently, he owns close to 70% of the club. Now, since he came in, you had coaches like Marco Silva, who was there from May 2018 until December 2019. Now he's coaching Fulham. They're having a great season. After that, we have Carlo Ancelotti, came in December 2019 until June 2021. He was done with the club. Then after that, you've got Benitez. He has the same scenario with Newcastle, even though he did a great job with Newcastle on a limited budget. Same thing happened with Everton, was given a pretty limited budget as well. He stayed there June 2021 until, you guessed it, January 2022, so in the middle of the January transfer window. What happened next? Well, Lampard came in at the end of January, and you guessed it again, he got fired in the middle of the January transfer window. Now, what happens next? Nothing happens next until the club figures out how they want to run this club correctly. Because if you think that currently Everton can make it out of the relegation zone and another club just above them, let's have a look actually at the list of clubs that are just above Everton or underneath it. There's just one club underneath it, which is Southampton. But just above it is Bournemouth. So let's, for the sake of this video, say that Bournemouth and Southampton will get relegated. All right, we've got that. Then the third spot, if Everton wants to get out of the way here, right? You've got Everton, of course. Then Wolverhampton. I don't see Wolverhampton getting relegated with Lopetegui and with the investments that they're making right now. West Ham with Moyes, with Declan Rice, with all the other players that they've got there, I don't see them getting relegated as well. Of course, all of these clubs are currently not that far away from the relegation zone, but if you look at the quality of the club, the manager, the players, there's a clear difference there. Then we've got Leeds. I don't know if they're going to get Weston McKennie or not, but to be honest, Leeds right now, the manager, the players that they've got, more chances to stay in the Premier League than Everton. Leicester City, same thing here. On paper, way better team than Everton, manager as well. And then Nottingham Forest, the club that keeps on buying new players. To be honest, I don't see them getting relegated as well. So for Everton to think that they have a chance right now not to get relegated, they either need to bring in, well, in the next coming days, a lot of quality players and the best manager possible on this planet. Will this happen? Probably not. I'm sorry to say this to Everton fans, but they probably know the reality by now as well, is that, well, the club is just done for the Premier League this year. Now, before I jump into the next manager scenarios, I just want to show you a couple of things here with regards to the last transfers. So obviously, in the summer, they lost Richarlison to Spurs, 58 million euros. What did they do with that money? Well, first of all, they did not replace him, which was already a huge mistake. Okay? They did not replace him. They brought in a very good young midfielder, Amadou Onana, 35 million euros, pretty expensive. In my opinion, if they get relegated, he's probably gone as well. Then Dwight McNeil, 17 million euros. Worth it? I don't think so. Neil Maupay, I think 12 million euros for him is a good option. James Garner, 10 million euros, barely plays, I think. At least I haven't noticed him. Then Idrissa Gana Gueye from PSG, 4 million euros. Okay, fine. It's that extra player in midfield with some experience, but is that what you needed? Probably not. You just lost Richarlison, the person that brought you goals. Then you've got Calvert-Lewin, who's always injured lately, and you're not buying a new quality striker besides Maupay. I mean, that's just, you want to put that last nail in the coffin. Just doesn't make any sense. Now, if you want, we can scroll through the other transfer windows here, right? They lost Luca Digne, James Rodriguez, okay, didn't really work out. Moise Kean left for Juventus on a permanent basis now. Fine, if you see here, they sold for 46 million euros worth of players. They brought in just under 40 million euros worth of player. If you look at the names here, quality names, not that many. Gray is fine, Mikolenko is fine as well, but that's about it. Then if we scroll even further, they spent 73 million euros on all of these names. Then they sold for just 4.4 million euros. So first of all, they can't really do such a good business on a limited budget. But when they're spending money, they're spending way too much money on players that, let's be honest, are not bringing that much quality. Doucouré had a good season, 2 seasons or so, 22 million euros. Okay, fine. Alan from Napoli, 23 million euros. Let's be honest, I don't see him playing anymore at a high level. Ben Godfrey, young players, 27.5 million euros. Fine, acceptable. But then if we go back even further in time, right? When they've got Lukaku from Chelsea, then they sold him to Manchester United. Did they really replace that player that brought in so many goals? No, probably not. They then spent 50 million euros or so on Sigurdsson. Again, great player for Everton, performed pretty well. But overall, every time they lose a key player, a very important player for the club, just like Lukaku, just like Richarlison, they don't go out and try and replace him. They try and buy some extra players here and there that think that will do the trick, which clearly doesn't work and didn't work. Now, going into the manager's option, on top of my head, and you've probably seen the rumors and the bets outside there. So we've got Sean Dyche, we've got Wayne Rooney, Moyes, and Bielsa. Now, to be honest, I don't see Moyes leaving West Ham to go and join a sinking ship like Everton right now. Just doesn't make any sense. Then for Wayne Rooney, I don't think, after seeing what happened with Lampard, with Gerrard, I don't think he would like to leave his club in the United States to come in with Everton, knowing fully well, probably pretty well, that next season they will be in the Championship. Then you've got Sean Dyche, out of job, previously was with Burnley. Burnley, a pretty solid team under him until, well, things didn't work out. But I can see he come in. But if he comes in, he knows fully well that next season he is going to play in the championship. So his plan is to make this team pretty stable and strong, try and get promoted directly after getting relegated. And then comes the, let's say, best worst option right now, Bielsa. We've seen his work with Leeds. Took a while until he got back into the Premier League, but even when he didn't make it to the Premier League, they played pretty good football in the Championship. Then in the Premier League, you could see the energy in the team. You could see this team, well, they basically beat the top teams as well. But the problem here is that Bielsa needs time to build this team. Everton right now don't have time. If he comes in right now, at the end of the transfer window, not only will he not be able to bring the quality players that he needs, he barely has any time to, well, adapt his style of play to, well, the current crop of players at Everton. He still has, 4 months in the Premier League to try and save this season? Let's be honest, it's not going to work. And if we're very, very honest, and we've seen what happened with Marseille, for example, I don't think he would like to come into Everton knowing fully well that the top guys there don't really care that much about the club anymore, and therefore don't really want to invest that much in the team. They rather use the young players and see what they can do, and then maybe if they sell a player for a lot of money, they'll invest it in a couple of extra players like they've done in the past when selling Lukaku, when selling Richarlison. Instead of buying quality players, 1 or 2 quality players, they go and buy lots of small players, maybe on loan as well. Bielsa probably would not like this. Again, maybe if he comes in, it's written in the contract, look, you have to give me X, Y, and Z, otherwise I walk. And with Marseille, we've seen he doesn't shy away of walking away after just 1 day. So there is that. To be honest, the best option in my eyes is Bielsa only if they give him time, and he probably also fully knows that next season he's going to play in the Championship, but maybe that's a way for him to really build Everton up to compete again in the Premier League. Second option is Sean Dyche. To me, there's no third option out there right now, unless they continue with Duncan Ferguson, which is always an option. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you're here on Spotify, you can always comment on YouTube as well. If you enjoy this type of videos, subscribe and like. Follow me on Spotify and on YouTube, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.